Dear viewers, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, Salam Mauludur Rasul, and a very good evening to you all. Welcome to our show, Scholar Alap with Dr. Muhammad Idil. He is one of the brightest minds I have ever known and an emerging researcher in the area of finance. Ladies and gentlemen, he is currently working as a senior lecturer and serving as the coordinator for finance, Bachelor of Finance. He got his PhD in finance from University of Melbourne and did his postdoctoral research at University of Oxford. Ladies and gentlemen, he has published many research related to financial markets, Islamic finance, and consumer finance. Without further ado, we are very, very delighted to have Dr. Muhammad Idil on our show this evening. Dr. Muhammad Idil, welcome to our show.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening, everyone. Thank you to Dr. Mahfuz and Linkwith for this invitation. I'm very honored to be one of the guest speaker, although actually I'm not a real scholar yet. I mean, probably I have little experience and little knowledge that I can share with all of you. So hopefully, I think all of us can benefit each other, inshallah, through this particular session. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, Dr. Idil. You had a wonderful journey in your academic career. I would say you are definitely, I would say you deserve and also privileged to do your PhD and postdoctoral research in the top school in the world. So we're just wondering, like when you had your PhD from University of Melbourne, especially in the business school, doing a PhD in finance, definitely it's not a joke. It's a wonderful journey. So people like us who did a PhD from not that cool university, or not, I would say not first say like a good business school. So we'd love to know the experience. We'd love to know the environment that you have been exposed to, the colleagues, the professors that you were with them for a couple of years. And for many Malaysians, many Bangladeshis, and all around the world, we are planning to do PhD. Many of us, our followers, are planning to do PhD. So what would be your lesson? I mean, if you could share some of the lights on that area, doing a PhD in the university like Melbourne.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mahfuz. Basically, I can say that it's not, I'm actually a good candidate to receive such an opportunity, but rather I can say that I have, lucky enough to be given that kind of opportunity, where I know that many people who are a lot better than me didn't get that opportunity. Well, I can say that I didn't went through the best experience for the PhD journey or my academic career, but what I can say that I experienced a very unique experience through my academic journey. As for example, I can say that I graduated from University of Malaya, where I'm currently teaching, but not from the business school, but from the Academy of Islamic Studies. So I'm very proud to actually claim myself that I'm an Islamic Studies student, where I went to madrasah before I joined the university. So I graduated in Sharia degree, Islamic Studies, where I'm specializing in Islamic management. And after that, I managed to get scholarship to actually do my master's in international Islamic universities, where actually that universities teach me a lot of experience before I pursue my journey to University of Melbourne for my PhD. So actually no one can expect that someone from the Islamic studies background and only with MBA in finance from International Islamic University can be accepted to do PhD in Melbourne, where actually in Melbourne, by right, the requirement for you to actually start your PhD should be like either finance background or you have some background in math, right? So what I can say that there's a very good opportunity, and I'm actually grateful for that opportunity to pursue my PhD in Melbourne. At first, I thought that the environment is the same with the Malaysian university, but I'm quite shocked when I went and arrived at the university. I know that actually the system is totally different, because I graduated with the first class honors from University of Malaya. So I received a best student award from my faculty, and after that I got scholarship to do my master in finance. From Sharia to finance, and I did quite well when I did my MBA in finance, and I thought that actually it's okay for you to do your PhD in finance abroad, because you did your master very well, and probably you can also do your PhD very well, right? So when I went to the university, I just realized that I think it's very tough for me, where you have to complete about 10 courses before you can start your PhD research. So the courses actually prepare the student to be equipped with all the knowledge that to start a PhD works, right? Which is you are exposed to many different methods, as well as the literature, and then you are taught by the top professors from the universities. That's a very, very actually good opportunity for someone to learn and know actually what's the finance is all about, which is for me is totally different than my experience in University of Malaya and International Islamic University. So the PhD in Melbourne, I think now they already increased the standard, where it's a requirement for everyone to actually enroll in the university with a GMAT. And then the good thing about PhD in Melbourne, actually, they give you 100% scholarship. I think all of the students who are doing PhD, they are under scholarship, and then the scholarship is quite good. The reason why they want to attract the good student to come and join their program, right? So after we complete 2 years coursework, then you can start your what we call like proposal defense. We call as a confirmation seminar. So that's very tough because first you have to actually convince the faculty members to be your supervisors. All right, once they agreed and guide you, so you have to present your research work. Only then, once they accept and pass, you can actually proceed to the next level. So I was told that during that time, I mean, to pass the confirmation, actually, it is more difficult than passing your completion seminar. So once you pass your confirmations, so as if like 98%, you're going to complete your PhD, right? So that's basically, I think the process. But what I can share that during the first 2 years of the program, it is very, very tough for me because I'm talking about those who are interested to pursue PhD in finance, actually at the top university. So basically, what my advice is for you to actually have a very strong and good understanding of mathematics, especially on the statistics and calculus, all right? Because if you're good in that, I think you have no problem to actually learn and benefit from the program. So in my case, because I never learned calculus, I never learned actually very high level statistics, it's quite challenging for me. So I just like put effort and study so hard, like 12 to 14 hours a day during the first 2 years in order to just complete the coursework, because the requirement for you to get minimum 75% in order to pass all the courses, right? But Alhamdulillah, with the help of actually many people, so I passed the coursework, and after that, I prepared for my proposals. So knowing my background, I think the expectation for the university is not very high, because I think they just give me the minimum requirement for me to meet the what we call the confirmation seminar or the proposal, and I also passed. So I'm very pleased when I passed that proposals, and after that I continuously work. I mean, actually 10 hours a day to actually complete my PhD research. Yeah. I think that's basically, yeah. Another thing that I want to highlight, the good things about the program, I mean, I think you are exposed to many different research and ideas of research, which is I never see that much in Malaysian university. For example, like my experience in Melbourne, so in a week, they have like 2 seminars. One, I mean, like the internal seminars between the faculty members and the PhD students, right? And the second seminar, that one is on every Tuesday. We call it as a brown bag seminar. And on every Friday, we have the seminar from the external, where I mean the university used to invite someone or professors from America or other universities outside Malaysia. Even I experienced to actually attend a class of the professors from Harvard universities, from New York universities, because I think the faculty members of Melbourne universities, they have actually good connection with the people from the top university in the US. I think as a student, we also benefit. I think in Melbourne University also, they treat the PhD student like the faculty members, right? Because we also receive the same benefit as the faculty members receive. The only different where they give the faculty members a personal room, but we share, like a common area as a PhD student, about 20 of us. So we share a common area, but all the facilities between the faculty members and the PhD students are the same, and we are also treated the same way they have been treated as a faculty members, which is that's a little experience. But if you have anything that you want to ask, Dr. Mahfuz, yeah, probably I can share in which aspect that you want to know more about that program. Yeah.
Wonderful. Dr. Idil, I was wondering, like the top universities, they do provide scholarships, and also they do have funding for all sort of inviting professors from top business school around the world. But when it comes to this part of the world, like Malaysia, and I mean the market that are growing, and although we are being kind of supported by the government, but we still could not afford to offer those scholarships to to attract the brilliant minds from all over the world. So what could be our strategy maybe, or what could be your opinion that we could have been doing in this part of the world to behave like the way that Melbourne is doing or the Oxford is doing in some other school? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mahfuz. Actually, the circumstances actually different between our, like universities in Malaysia and the universities in Australia and in the UK. For example, like in Melbourne University, actually they are free to set the student fees, tuition fees, right? Actually for the undergraduates and master level. I realized that the fees is very high and very expensive, all right? And from there, actually, they actually, get the money, and as well as they secure many research grant from outside. So that actually contributes to the expenses of the university, where through that they can actually pay the PhD student and pay good salary to the faculty members. That's the reason why they can attract the best people come to their universities. In order to do that, I think we have to change the strategy, right? I think the university should be allowed to actually set the fees as they like, and based on actually their capabilities. So then they can actually follow the same way how the top business school are doing, because the money actually is the resources for them to grow, because with the money they have, they can actually hire good faculty members. They can also attract good PhD student, right, for them to come and join the university. I think in order to be like them, I think we cannot follow the same way that actually we run our universities. So they have to be, like same way that what they are doing. Okay.
Right. We're hoping for the best that we would be able to do so and behave like the way that Melbourne and other universities are doing all around the world.
Sure.
You had a wonderful journey, and you had, I would say, a great environment to grow. And then you back then in Australia, you did, I think you got a background, not background, you got a base about the doing research. Then you came back Malaysia, you join University of Malaya. I mean, you resume your services in University of Malaya. Then after some time, you felt to do your postdoc, and you got another journey to, I would say, one of the cream in Times ranking. This is the #1 university in the world, Oxford, right? So what was the difference that you noticed that being in Oxford and being in Melbourne maybe, or like the journey in overall in Oxford? Ideal.
Okay, thank you. Basically, because I cannot compare back to back, because I think when I went to Melbourne, so I was attached to Department of Finance, right? And when I was in Oxford, I was attached to the Oxford Center for Islamic Studies, where in Melbourne, so the finance department is a standalone department, right? Although it's under the Faculty of Business and Economics, but actually the department is run by itself, where the head departments play the biggest role to decide who to hire, actually who's the PhD student they want to take, without mainly any influence from other people's, right? Because they give the independency to the department to grow and to run because they trust. Because I think I can see that a lot of trust in these top universities. So that's the reason why they can grow, all right? Because they trust the head of the department to actually lead the university to the top level. And after that, I got the opportunity to go to Oxford University, but I was attached to Oxford Center for Islamic Studies, where the nature of the centers is different and the system is also different, right? Because in the UK, I think my observation, because it's an old country, I think the system is slower and less efficient compared to Australia. Although Oxford, in terms of ranking and research, is a lot better than Melbourne University. As you know, it's like even some rank put Oxford is number 1, right? Melbourne is normally 20, 30 or 40 in the world, right? Yeah, Oxford, because like in a Malaysian context, right? Yeah. As you can see, University Malaya is an old universities and always in the top of the country because actually the resources they have, the money, and the people actually help to maintain the rank of the university. Same with Oxford University. Why? Because it's a very old university and then he got so many resources, meaning huge foundation and money where they can hire the best people in the world to come and actually the best candidates to join as their student, right? So I can say that Melbourne has a better and more efficient system, but Oxford, they have a better, what we call resources and a better people, right? Yeah, I also get opportunity to actually talk to one of the finance professor at the Side Business School in Oxford. Yeah, I realized that I personally cannot understand the research what he's doing because it's kind of like it's kind of like it's mathematician. Yeah, I think his research is just like do the derivation of the equation. I think 4 or 5 pages as a journal article, which is totally different than what I was trained in Melbourne, right? Because we normally do the empirical, but in Oxford they go for more theoretical contribution, right? I think the gap is already there between Melbourne and Oxford, where I can see that Oxford is much advanced in terms of their research, people, and publication. It's just Melbourne has a better system. Probably in the future, Melbourne can catch up, no? But I don't know. Yeah, but again, in Oxford, the system is quite different because they are more independent in terms of the undergraduate teaching. I think they are very student-centered. They don't have like university like Melbourne University or University of Malaya, but they go by colleges, right? Because they have about 39 colleges where the student actually go and study in their own college. So in one class, it's very small, like they have only tutorial, they don't have like mass lecture. And most of the time it's 1-to-1 or mean like 1 professor to 2 student ratio. So I think it's a very student centered in Oxford because they already have a very good professors and very good students and actually a huge amount of money. So that's the reason why they can maintain themselves at the top in the world. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Dr. Idil, like one more thing that we were
Mm-hmm.
wondering, you had any observation regarding
Mm-hmm.
the industry linkage. When you see Oxford, they recently they came up with this COVID-19 vaccine. I mean, they are in the trial.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Melbourne, I'm not so sure. So how about this part of the world, like on top of Malaysia and all those things? We don't really see those types of innovation that coming from university. While we do see that coming from the Ivy League universities, all top business schools, or sorry, not business school, but the science school. So, did you notice anything different in terms of the core research that make us different?
Yeah, definitely, Dr. Mahfuz, because our focus are different, all right? I think we are not in the same playing field, right? I think it's very hard, for example, like someone from Malaysia to win a gold medal in Olympic, for example. Yeah, it's possible, but actually it's not that easy when we compare with the US, actually the Great Britain or China, where they have actually very good facilities and I think the research on that particular sport and also the right direction, right? But I can see that in the emerging and the developing country, I think we are still struggling with the system, and we are still struggling with the resources, and we are still struggling with the focus on what we want to be in the future, right? Because actually we have been utilized, or the people in, I think, some part of the world take advantage of our vulnerabilities. For example, like they actually want us to publish in their journals and we have to pay huge amount of money, all right? Basically, it's not for actually knowledge development, it's rather for them to actually make profit, for example, right? And then because we cannot compete with the top universities, right? So we tend to actually focus on that kind of way to publish our articles. At the end of the day, no one actually read and refers to our writing, right? And then again, the system, yeah, because as you can see in many of the emerging and developing countries, right? Because our system is so inefficient, right? Because for you to actually complete something, it takes you so long before you can actually do a thing or complete one thing, where in those countries you don't have to do that, right? You can spend most of your time in actually reading, enhance your research, the discussion, right? So I can say that we all actually put a lot of effort. I mean, like, we all work hard in order to be successful, right? But actually because of the different circumstances and different focus and the bad system in the developing and emerging countries, so that's the reason why we actually getting farther behind. In order to actually improve ourselves, I think we have to realize what should be the focus, and then we should focus on the more important thing for the future of the university, rather than actually involved in the same games what they are doing, where we can never win if we just actually follow the way that what they do. Yeah.
Right, excellent. Dr. Idil, with that note,
Mm.
I mean, how would you see our education industry will go? I mean, like, how our education industry will look like maybe in 10 years' time from now?
Dr. Mahfuz, honestly, what I see, not only in Malaysia, even in Australia and in the UK, with my little experience there, I think now money is the king, right? It's kind of like we are the servant of money. So with money, you can do many things, right? So actually, it's not it's not healthy for the future of our world and the future generation, right? Because as you can see now, when you have money, even your academically was not very good, you still can actually go and study in Oxford University. Similarly, in, I think, all other top university, with money, you're not necessary to be good. That's why what people say in Oxford last time, you can actually join the university, either you are very clever or you are very rich, right? I think, yeah, that is one example. I think here in our country also the same, right? Because at the end of the day, when we want to make decision and everything, so money become the main important. Although actually we talk about the system and we want to help the future generation, I think when actually it against the interest of money, so we have actually to slow down a bit of what we plan to do, mean to actually give way to the money. Yeah, that actually is very unhealthy environment and situation for our education system, because I personally feels myself, because now the education become business oriented, because all the universities want to be privatized, because they know with money you can actually hire good professors, and with money you can get good student, and with money also you can be top in the world, right? So I think my views, right, I think as a educators, we should emphasize more on how to have a better generation in the future, right? And how to have a better generation in the future, actually we have to shape them with actually a knowledge that can make them a better person. Mean like if you, for example, like in our business and finance area, right? So we have to be actually guide them apart from the knowledge in finance, and we have to also act ethically, right? It's not only actually concentrate on profit or actually personal interest like what we have today. I mean, everyone actually are fighting like to get PhD from the top university. Why? Because actually when you have a PhD from top university, you can actually market yourself better compared to if you didn't get the PhD from lower rank universities. So you actually put so much effort to achieve that goal, right? But at the end of the day, is it really when you graduated from the top universities, you can become a good human being, in my point of view, right? Yeah. You can see that many people who never receive any education, they actually contributes to the world much better than us, all right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, yeah, as a person, especially people in the education field, I think we should not actually be actually become the same people in the profit-oriented industry, because I think our focus should emphasize more on what we can help the future generation to be a better person. That's why, like Linkwith, I appreciate, the efforts that you do, like today or all this particular seminar and talk, actually to give opportunity for others to also benefit from people in the academia, on how actually to conduct the good research and to be a good researcher and the educators in the education
Well,
field.
right. Adding to that, what we also that so for example, looking back to my country, some other part of the world, the literacy rate is increasing. People are getting more educated, but when it comes to the corruptions, is also increasing. All these unethical activities are increasing. So one time we had like 40% educated citizens, literacy rate 40%, 30%, 60%, 80%. Maybe it will go up to 90 or 100%. But the way we are behaving with the people, with the nature, the way we're treating nature, the way we're treating the other human, the way we are being corrupted, I mean, surely that doesn't encourage me. That doesn't really give me a good feelings about the education. What would be your perspective on that?
Okay, thank you. Although I'm not actually expert in sociology or anthropology, to say about the behavior of the people, probably I can I think share my thought as well as observation. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think as an educator, we have to actually play a role to educate our student and people around us to be a good human being, right? For example, like that's why I said now money is a king. With money, people know that they can actually do many things. So they become a servant of money. So they even actually sacrifice their principle, sacrifice their moral just for the sake of money, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what you said when we graduated. Because from the very first day, we join the universities and we come to school because we know we want to compete with others, right? Because we want to be the best and we want to be rich. Because we know that when actually we become rich, we can do so many things. But at the end of the day, when you become rich, you just do for yourself, right? It's not actually for others. So that's what I said. If we realize that the importance of ethics, manners, and etiquettes, right, for a human being, as an educator, we should not actually teach our student to actually just be the top, but also be a good human being, right? I think we see many examples. For example, like people who are, like top achiever and also very kind and very good, like our Dr. Mahfuz, right? For example, yeah. But we need more, right? It's not enough to have just a very few of us, because when we have many people like this in the society, I think we can have a better society, and this group of people we control, and we can create a good system to actually preserve the future generation. But if only few of the good people in the society, I think the bad people will take over them, and actually they cannot do many things, right? So that's the reason why, if you realize that the importance of, I think, the kindness, the ethics, to be a good human being, so you actually will encourage your student to appreciate this particular value. So it's nothing wrong to be top. It's nothing wrong to be successful, for example, right? To grab as much as opportunity that you can. But at the same time, you have to know why you want to be successful, why you want to be rich, why you want to be professor, all right? So that's very important. Because if, like your goal is not clear, why you want to be someone successful, so actually it will easily deviate yourself from actually what we call as a good human being. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Idil. Before we move on to our next question, we would like to take one question. Idil is on the screen. Faisal Zulkifli is asking the question to you. Yeah, Dr. Idil, would you mind your preparation while applying to Oxford for postdoc?
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Faisal, for the question. So in my case, because I'm not actually preparing myself to do the postdoc at Oxford from the scratch, right? I have friends also actually. That was my colleague in Melbourne. So he also did his PhD in Melbourne University, and after that he got opportunity to go to Oxford University for his postdoc. So through him and one of my other friend who's currently a lecturer in UTM, so he also did his postdoc in Cambridge University. So both of these actually people helped me and guide me on how to prepare myself for postdoc in Oxford. So what I need to do first, for example, I went to Oxford under the Ministry of Higher Education scholarship. We call it as a postdoctoral scholarship. Normally, the Ministry of Higher Education give this kind of scholarship, 1 or 2 seats to every university. So what you need to do, you need to prepare a proposal and then get a placement. So when the university open the advertisement for you to apply, so you immediately apply. If actually there are many candidates who applied for that particular scholarship, so they will call you for interview. So if they are happy and they like your ideas, they will actually forward your name to the Ministry of Higher Education, and there's another interview at the Ministry of Higher Education level. So then if they actually like your ideas and the university that you choose, so then they will offer you scholarship. Yeah, that's basically on actually what you need to do to prepare. First, you prepare your proposal, and then also you get a placement. Only then when there's opportunity come, you can apply for scholarship. Yeah. And there's also many other scholarship in Oxford universities where actually you don't have to go through the Ministry of Higher Education. So they also offered the scholarship, but in the finance, I think is very, very, very tough. Yeah, because you need to actually get publication in the top journals like Journal of Finance, Journal of Financial Economics. Only then they will consider you to actually do the postdoc under actually as part of their faculty members. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Hope Faisal got his answer. Dr. Idil, question that would be wondering to ask, like the current area of your research is notice that you're working on financial markets and Islamic finance, and of course consumer finance. So if it comes to finance and consumer finance, let's focus on Islamic finance. So what would be your take on the current issues that you observe, just in general, current issues that should be working, or people are working on or looking at, if you have some.
Okay, but yeah, actually there are many different areas where you can explore, especially in Islamic finance, because it's a new field of study. But for you to actually do research in Islamic finance, if you want to aim the top journal, I think it's very, very challenging, right? because you really need to find a very unique about the Islamic finance where you cannot find in the conventional finance, then you actually explore the research. For example, like in my case, so with the collaboration with my former supervisor, when I did my master's, now he's a professor in INSEF, Professor Ubaidullah. So I'm working on the capital structure of the Sharia compliant firms, because to be a Sharia compliant firms, so I think you have to fulfill a certain criteria. For example, like your business activities must be clean, and also your financing, the debt that you take to actually invest in your asset need to be Sharia compliant. So the conventional debt should not exceed a certain percentage, for example, right? So because of that limitation, so we decided to study the behavior of the what we call the Sharia compliant firms in terms of deciding their debt and equity. That's my current research on the
Right.
Islamic finance. Yeah.
Great video. So the other questions that will be,
Mm.
wondering to get answers from, it's like work-life balance. We always have issues with that. Being a PhD student while you are in Australia, I heard you brought your family. So I was wondering, how would you balance your during your PhD life? How would you balance your work-life balance? And now, as an academician, teaching, doing research, supervising, how do you balance it? For the novice researcher, for the novice academicians, we need some tips from you, like,
So when I started my PhD, I was not very old and also not very young. I think I remember that time I was like 27, 28 years old, right? And yet I was the oldest person in the department to do the PhD. So that's like the rest are all younger than me. So, but at that time, so I also have no experience, right? So I cannot say that I'm successfully balance myself between academics and my family, for example, right? Because I brought my family when I was in Melbourne, and I realized that it's quite challenging. Why? Because I have to spend like more than 10 hours a day in my office to complete my research. It's not only because it's hard, it's also because of I didn't have a good background, so I have to put more effort compared to other students. But actually, it's not lah. Other students also, some of them actually more than me. So they used to work like 16 hours a day, right? Yeah. So I think they all work very hard. That's also motivate me to actually put effort to work harder like them. Yeah. I just share my experience with my colleague. I think they started work at 8 o'clock in the morning and they finish at 1 or 2 o'clock at night, which is, I think, for me, is quite extreme. It's very difficult when you have family to do that, right? Yeah. So I think after that, when I went to Oxford, so I get some experience in Melbourne, which really helped me to overcome my limitation, my inexperienced attitudes toward the balance between academic and family, right? So I actually plan myself and limit myself to do my research at a certain period, and at the same time to also spend and the rest for my family and my children. Because I realized that, so at the end of the day, we have to understand why we live in this world, right? It's not about completing your PhD and be a professor, right? So that's true. We have to try our best to be as good as we can. I think we have to not procrastinate. I think use all the opportunities and put as much effort as we can and be serious and focused in our work. But at the same time, don't forget that we also have other responsibility, right? So work is our responsibility, family is also our responsibility. So you have to give time for actually your work, your family, and your time as well. Now I realize that I think it's quite late also. Only for the last few years, I understand the importance of giving time to myself. Yeah. So before I used to work until 10 o'clock at night at my office at in UC of Malaya, right? So at the end of the day, I noticed that I think what actually I do, I mean, like spend so much time until night and go home at the end of the day. So the outcome is the same with the rest of the people. It's not actually a big difference. So probably, I don't know, there's something wrong with my strategy, right? Yeah. And after that, I change. So I just actually limit myself, whatever time that you have, you just focus and do as serious as you can. And then when the time comes, you just leave, right? So I actually learn on how to stop my work. It's not actually get into my work too much, because previously I always fall sick and not feeling well so many times, right? And I noticed that actually it's not healthy, because we have to actually benefit or enjoy the present time. Because what's the point? I mean, at the end of the day, when you spend so much for your career, so when you grow old, you get sick, you also cannot benefit, right? So that's different. And then probably different people have different philosophy. For example, like the real scholars, probably they actually sacrifice themselves for the society. That will be different. That I can understand, right? Because they said that this is how I put my effort to learn and to benefit, to get knowledge, to benefit the society, right? That will be different, because the motivation is not for themselves, it's rather for the society. So that actually I highly appreciate lah, where I personally cannot do. So in my case, so what I do now is actually I plan. I think time management is very important, and actually I always list down what I supposed to do. So whenever I completed, I take. So it gives me satisfaction to see that many takes and I already achieved so many things in 2 or 3 days, right? So I'm quite happy. So yeah, then I can spend some time with the family. Yeah.
Dr. Idil, linking with that argument just now, you're putting forward your satisfaction and that you're putting ticks and all. So we also came to know that you were best students during your undergrad degrees and all. So like for the millennials, the one that watching us today, there are some students who are doing the undergraduate. So what would be your, I mean, suggestions or maybe your tag to them so that they can be a best student like you, or maybe better than, you know, or maybe yeah, someone better who can just for PhD in maybe Harvard, maybe Princeton, Oxford, and all those universities. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, thanks, Dr. Mahfuz. But I personally feel now or see now success is not only in academic, right? Because I can see that many people, even my professor in the university, also noticed that some people actually not in the top of the class. I think they are actually more successful than people who are the top of the class, for example, right? But I think everyone have to know themselves, right? You have to know where is your strength and where's your weaknesses, right? For example, like if you know that your strength to be a top student, why not you just put your effort and be the top student, right? So at least you become the best in that particular achievement. Yeah, probably you cannot do something else. For example, like some people probably they are not good in academic, but they are good in actually marketing and talking or personal relation. For example, they can be a good politician, for example, or be a good leader. So it's not necessarily you be a professor, right? Because normally the top student, I think they like to be a professor, for example, right? Or researcher. So where they don't have interest on the business, so that will be different. So my advice is that you have to know yourself, right, first. So then you have to focus, and then stick to the goal, and then don't procrastinate, right? Because when you were young and at the universities, that's a golden opportunity for you to benefit from the free time that you have, right? So what you need to do, you really have to actually take advantage of the time as a student to learn, because that's, I mean, like, it's not only be the top student or get a 4 flat CGPA, but actually learning. So after that, probably you don't have much time to learn anymore, right? Learning is not necessarily in the class, so you can also learn from involvement in the social activities, in sport, all right? So that's an opportunity for you to learn and benefit from the time that you have as a student. But do it seriously, because many students that I notice, they don't actually take that opportunity. So they just waste. So they spend the time and the money for unnecessary thing, right? Because in the future, if you don't put effort in learning as well as to benefit from the time that you have, you will left behind, right? Because the successful people, I mean, if you're not successful in academic, but you're probably successful in other things. But these successful people is not the people who like to procrastinate. They are very focused people, but their focus is on different things, right? So in order to be a successful, you have to actually plan very well and then focus and know your goal, right? Yeah, to achieve that. Yeah, that
Right.
probably my little advice. Yeah.
Great, Doctor. This is we are towards the end of our show.
Mhm.
I'm sure I'm also just part of it. So this is being a finance lecturer and the way you are contributing to the society. We are recently having this COVID-19, financial hiccups, all sort of things that we are facing that we never even thought about it. The way whether we can live 2 months, 3 months with our savings or not. With considering all sort of things, we notice that you have a book, right? Consumer Financial Vulnerabilities in Malaysia, which is coming on 30th November. And if you could just shed a bit light of the Malaysian audience, like what is like a basic or maybe just 1-2 minutes about the basic findings about these books, or what is going to offer maybe something based on your experience.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mahfuz. As you can see, so we both are the co-author of this book. So I'm very proud to be one of the co-author with our Dr. Mahfuz and also Dr. Shanas and Dr. Islin to write these important books on the consumer financial vulnerabilities in Malaysia. So basically, this book focus on the financial vulnerabilities faced by the consumer. I mean, our main focus is on the Malaysian consumer. So the first one, we look on their vulnerabilities on debt level, right? Yeah. So basically, this book highlight on the statistic and the level of indebtedness of the Malaysian, and also why they are actually taking so much debt, right? And then we also suggest, I mean, what factors that actually lead them to having this high level of indebtedness from the behavioral perspective, and we give suggestion for the consumer as well for the policymakers to actually overcome the problem. Similarly, for the other, because basically in this book we focus on the four main vulnerabilities: the high level of indebtedness, so lack of saving, and then always fall into the fraudulent investment activities, and finally is under insurance, where basically all these four are the main vulnerabilities faced by the Malaysian consumers. So if they don't have enough saving, so they cannot retire happily, they have to struggle in the future. So this book actually reveals the current statistics of the levels of savings among Malaysian and what are the factors that influence them to save or not to save. So how to overcome that. Similarly, for the people who always fall into the financial frauds, right? I mean, how actually what caused them to fall into this fraudulent scheme, or we call it as a scam activities, right? So we also highlight the factors as well as how to overcome them. Similarly, for the last topics on the vulnerabilities of under insurance, where we noticed that many Malaysians didn't subscribe to the insurance or takafu, so they are less protected. So they are very risky in facing risks in their financial securities. So this book basically highlight, I mean, what factors that influence them to not purchase the insurance, and how the government can help to encourage Malaysian to actually benefit or take the insurance and actually manage the risk efficiently. So I think it's a very interesting book for people to know about the vulnerabilities, what factors that influence, and how to overcome them. And also good also for the policymakers, for them to actually consider the suggestion proposed by us to actually improve or overcome the vulnerabilities of Malaysian in financial perspective.
Right. Radio, we are very glad to have you on this show this evening, and thank you very much for your sharing. We don't have much questions. We had one question earlier, and basically we just the aim of this platform is to bring scholars and academicians especially to share their knowledge, to encourage the people out there who struggle to finish many things. Many of them are struggling to finish PhD. Many of them are struggling to publish. Many of them are struggling to, I would say, find a light in their life. So being like people like you, so for example, you are sharing that you were like in a Islamic background, then you came to finance. So what we understand from your discussion is that almost nothing is I mean, everything, I mean, difficult things are difficult, but nothing is impossible. So if you really work hard, if you really put forward all your hope with that right actions on the right time, then you would be able to reach your destination. So thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to having you on our show again for some other topics and with the workshops. Dr. Idil, if you have any last things that you would like to share for our millennials, for our audience, as a last word for them to, I would say, to grow in their life, like you, if they just take you as like a model. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mahfuz, and also thank you, Linkwith, for this opportunity. Actually, I'm very humble. I don't think that I'm deserved to be a scholar and to actually to be one of the speakers for like the program where actually previously you have invited many top speakers. But what I can say is just my little experience in research and also in the education journey. So my advice is actually to know first, to know yourself and to be grateful on what you have and to stay focused, right? I think never give up, because especially for me, I'm a Muslim, so I believe in the destiny where Allah, whatever Allah gave me. So actually, I'm be grateful because I can see that many more people than actually are less fortunate than me. So whatever happened to me, actually, it's already so good that I cannot ask for more, right? So once you become grateful, I think it calm you down and then make you stay focused, right? Yeah, I think that's all for me. I wish you everyone the best, because it's not only you. I also struggle. It's not only during my PhD, even until today, right? Struggle to write, struggle to manage my time, struggle also to get published, right? Struggle to actually climb my career. So everyone, we struggle, but at the end of the day, we have to know the reason for us to live in this world, and then it's not only to actually get what we want, but we want to please our God, right? So that's probably my last advice. Thank you again for the opportunity. So I wish you and Linkwith, inshallah, to grow further and for people to benefit more from this kind of program. Assalamualaikum and good evening.
With that note, thank you, Dr. Idil, for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you again next Friday at 10 p.m. Malaysian time. With that note, stay safe, stay blessed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.